For the first time, I think in a very long time, the international community is unified with regards to its policy towards Iran. It's very clear, the message from the international community that Iran should not develop a nuclear weapon and that it must become part of the family of international nations and abide by international rules. That's the main message. And the international community has said that because of the behavior of Iran, we're going to make very clear that that has to change. So it's applied some very strong economic sanctions, some very strong diplomatic sanctions, the strongest, I think, that have ever been applied against a nation. And the result is that it's impacting on Iran. It's impacting on their economy. It's impacting on their quality of life. It's impacting on their business community. It's impacting on their energy community. And I think as a result, it is putting pressure on them, isolating them, and making very clear to them that they have to change their ways.
Mr. Secretary, Iran is not the only country in the region who has a nuclear weapon. Pakistan has also a nuclear bomb. Why not? Why not the Obama administration cannot live with a nuclear Iran?
Well, the concern is this, that Iran continues to try to destabilize nations, particularly in this region. They promote terrorism. They have supported terrorist activities throughout the region. They continue to be a destabilizing force in this area. And because obviously their intent and their purpose is not to promote stability in this region, for them to obtain a nuclear weapon would be extremely dangerous, because it would virtually allow terrorism then to have the ability to use a nuclear weapon. That's dangerous. There have been efforts to try to negotiate on these issues, and unfortunately they have led nowhere. In order to be able to reach a deal, it takes two parties who are willing to engage in honest, direct, and open discussions regarding this issue. I think if they are willing to do that, if they are willing to really sit down and negotiate in seriousness over this very difficult and complicated issue, that obviously that would be the better approach. But the window for that kind of diplomatic solution, as pointed out by the President and by the Prime Minister of England, that window is closing. They have to show a willingness to negotiate on these issues and do that soon.
Mr. Secretary, lately you were very specific about when Israel is going to attack Iran. Do you think now the probability that Israel could attack Iran has increased?
As the President Obama has stated, and I agree, we do not believe Israel has made a decision to do that. And as you know, we've engaged in a number of hearings with Prime Minister Netanyahu and been very clear to him that we have the same concerns as Israel with regards to Iran and their developing a nuclear weapon, but that the international community is unified in putting pressure on Iran, and that Israel should operate with the international community in increasing that pressure on Iran. That's the better way to go right now. We think we have the room and the space to try to conduct diplomacy. Military action should always be a last resort, not the first resort.
Are you confident that Israel will not go unilaterally and attack Iran? And if Israel will go and attack Iran, does the United States, will the United States intervene with Israel?
Obviously, Israel is an independent country, and they'll make whatever decisions they make on their own based on what they think is in their national interest. If they should make that decision, then obviously the United States would take action to protect our facilities in this area and protect our interests in this area.